Hello, I'm Dr. Weber from the University of Alberta, and I'm so excited to meet up with one of my former students, Major. And Major and I have had a long history. How many years ago has it been since I worked with you? About 14 years ago?
2008. So that would be 13 years.
13 years ago. So I was lucky to have you in my class. Um, um, it was quite an experience working with you. And at first, I really didn't know much about you. I didn't really understand some of the things you were struggling with. Um, this is my opportunity to really sit down and chat with you about what was really going on with you, with your life, with your experiences. Because sometimes teachers get really, really busy, and the kid comes into a class, and you know that they have issues and challenges. And you're kind of like a swimming. You've got all these other kids with the other issues and challenges. And I remember you were with one of my other students who was hard of hearing. You and this other student didn't use sign language, but I used an interpreter. Do you remember that?
Yes, I think so. I
Yeah.
think Angerad was the interpreter. I'm pretty sure.
His name was Lee Garand. He's
Yes,
retired now. He's
yes.
retired. So he would facilitate the communication between you and this other student because I couldn't understand this other student, and I sometimes had difficulty understanding you. So you were really good working with the interpreter, you know. And from what I remember, I taught you English.
Yes,
Yeah,
English.
English class.
English when I was in grade 9 and 10.
Yeah, grade
Maybe,
9. Yeah, and I maybe grade 10 too.
maybe a little bit. Maybe the first semester of grade 10 because I remember I
Yeah,
switched
yeah.
over to another
That,
English class during the second semester, but
yeah.
I don't remember too much English. That was a long time ago.
Oh, yeah, a long time ago. And right now, Major, I'm teaching a class called Educational Psychology 301, and it's on inclusive education. Now, you and I know from experience what this really means for both of us because we both have differences, right? And so, what I wanted to do first is to give you an opportunity to describe yourself, some of the challenges that you've had with, in terms of schooling. We can get into the deeper parts of what it was like for you at Tom Collegiate, at the other school, and again at Nanaimo. But can you just kind of give me a general explanation, a description of who you are?
Well, I when I was in my freshman year, I entered the ESP program, which was I'm not
Yeah.
sure what ESP stands for exactly, but it was
It was called Environmental Support Program.
yeah, yeah for
Environmental Support Program. And it was kind of like a catch-all phrase for people who were struggling with mental illnesses or people who had autism or Asperger's or emotional behavioral issues. It was kind of like a very vague term. And then it changed later, I think after you left, it changed to supportive environment program. Though it should flip the acronyms around. But anyway,
yeah. But I have Asperger's syndrome, so I think that's one of the reasons why I qualified for the program and a little bit of learning disability. I'm not. I think just yeah,
yeah.
learning disability is another thing.
Yeah, and
So
you
just
were to summarize all of this. So, Major, you have Asperger's, you received special services in the high school in Regina,
yes,
and you were in my class. You worked with an EA who happened to also be a sign language interpreter, and that's how you ended up in my class. So
yes.
we've gotten that out of the way. So can you tell me about the services that you got from being in that program? You got tutorial support. What else did you get from being in the program in Regina?
I also got just uh, did you mention tutorial support already, or uh,
Yeah, like did you like you went to all of your classes, then you came back and you got a tutorial support where someone sat with you and helped you with your homework or
yes,
worked on certain things?
yes, most of the time,
Yeah,
almost all the time actually, I think.
right. And that was for like 1 hour a day, right?
Yes,
Yeah, yeah,
but
that's right.
I also remember being in the ESP room. It was kind of like Miss Gravecki and like all the other teachers who ran the program with her kind of created like a social environment for me to get along with people who were struggling with disabilities. And uh, I remember there were times when I could not go uh, you know uh, leave the school or or leave the classroom. I mean, because the ESP program, they were looking after everyone. So therefore, like if I something happened to me, it was their responsibility. It was the responsibility of the teachers there to look after me. Uh,
So how did that feel, Major? Did you like that? Did you feel like you were kind of, barricaded in your
yes,
ESP
yes, a little
classroom?
bit, a little bit, and at first I wanted freedom, just to uh, you know, go out and spend time with other people in my grade, like who weren't in the ESP program, to like socialize with them and go go out for a Slurpee run or something with them. But the teachers in the ESP program, they recommended that I didn't do that. So they tried to pressure me in order in into staying in the ESP room because it was their responsibility to look after me. So
Did
and
did you ever know why they did that? Do you understand why? Or did they tell
yes,
you why you had to stay in that classroom all day?
they pretty much just said they're responsible for me and they're not responsible for everyone for anyone else who wasn't in the ESP program.
So what if, so can you tell me if you can how that made you feel?
Um, it it made me feel left out from from the open world.
You felt like you were overly protected.
Yeah, overly protected.
Hmm. You know, Major, I remember you at that time. I think you were really struggling with some of the social aspects of being in the school environment. I remember you feeling very hurt that you didn't have any friends. or that you were concerned that certain people that you wanted to be friends with weren't really very friendly with you. That's what I remember, but maybe I've got that wrong. Have I got it wrong?
No, no, you're exactly right. Basically, the friends who weren't in the ESP program, they weren't very welcome at ESP. They did not understand that that I really needed, a friend to hang out with because I was lonely. And pretty much most of them just saw me as someone who was different, who had who had Asperger's or had a learning disability, and I felt like they did not want to be associated with someone like that. The people who weren't in the ESP program, the people who were in the ESP program, they understood. They sort of understood, but people outside of the ESP program, they they took every advantage uh, to make fun of me and to bully me. Every opportunity they got.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that happen. And I'm curious about something major. When you were inside that ESP classroom, you had teachers there that understood what you were like and understood you as a person. Did you ever really develop a sense of what it meant to be a person with Asperger's? Did you really get a sense of how your brain functions, how you think? Did you learn anything about it when you were
Not
in that
really, because
program?
I was not really because to be honest with you, I was ashamed of that. I was ashamed that I has boobies. So for most of the time, around high school, I kept wondering, why can't I be normal like everyone else? And I tried to be normal like everyone else, but that obviously wasn't working. So because I spent most of my time trying to be normal, I didn't really think of how Asperger's affected me.
So nobody really talked to you about it when you were in that program, right? No one ever sat down with you and said, Major, you have Asperger's, and Asperger's means this, and this, and you know what? It's okay. It's just your brain functions differently. Did anybody sit down with you and say those things?
Not really, really. Because I think most of the teachers were afraid that they were going to put me down in some way, and I think they couldn't really think of a way to like put it to me nicely. Because
Uh,
I felt that they were probably afraid that like if they said something that triggered me, I would get overly depressed or something. Well, that's why they never really had that talk with me.
yeah. Well, that's an important thing, isn't it? That would have helped quite a bit, right? In that program in Regina, that might have helped you to feel a bit more comfortable, a little bit safer, a little bit more accepting of yourself. Because when you accept yourself, then other people accept you more easily. But if you're kind of like, like there's something really horribly wrong with me, and people pick that up and they go, oh yeah, there's something really horribly wrong with him. You know what I mean? Like it comes from within yourself. And so I'm really curious about what happened when you moved to Nanaimo, because you became almost like a different person. Can
Yes.
you explain what happened?
Well, this took about uh, mm, over 1 year. It took me about over 1 year to make friends, and 2010 was when start saying was when everything started picking up for me. 2010 was the year when I started making friends. People started making plans to go out to movies with me, and heck, even one person agreed to be my prom date. In 2010. So 2010 was the year that things changed. Really, because like if I had attended high school at Tom, in 2010, like obviously no one would have been my prom date or like agreed to hang out with me. But I think I really I think you know it might have to do with the fact that you know people here in British Columbia are a lot nicer or a little more accepting, or it could be an environment where
Well, and do you think it's because they understood what it means to be an have Asperger's? Do you think they understood it? Were they able to talk about it with you?
um not really, but they could see that I had Asperger's. Like they could pick up the signs, and and
But I'm curious as to why they were more accepting than the people in Regina, the student body. I think that your teachers really cared about you. I think that we all were watching the struggling going on, and I have many questions myself, like why is this happening? I have some theories about it, but I'm just wondering like what was that different? Were they were those students more educated about Asperger's? Was there more acceptance of diversity? What
I think maybe acceptance and diversity because they had at the school I went to in Nanaimo, it's called Dover Bay Secondary. That's the high school I went to. They had an entire room full, dedicated to people with learning disabilities or who were just disabled or ones who can't, function properly. They had an entire room dedicated to, to helping people like that with teachers and support, systems in place. So I think that you know
so measure with that? I want to make sure I'm really clear here. I've understood you clearly. So that school was a special school only, or did it include other people who didn't have any disability? Was it like a
it,
mainstream school?
it included people who didn't have any disability at all. But
Oh,
I
okay. Okay. So what I'm hearing you saying then is that when you were there in the Nanaimo, you had a much larger group who
yes
had similar kinds of challenges like you had, right?
yes
Well, that probably makes a big difference because from what I remember in Regina, there were like a handful of people. And they were really serious, serious cases, right?
yes.
And they were not really able to connect with anybody else in that program. Am I right about that?
I think so. I think so, and you know um, I
Yeah,
think
and I think that maybe what you're saying, I mean, Nanaimo, and I could be wrong, but you have more to choose from. You have more levels of abilities. You have, people who are very severe, with very severe challenges to very mild challenges. A much larger group, you could pick and choose. It's a
yes,
critical mass issue, right?
yeah, because, and I'm still friends with some of the people who I went to Dover Bain with, you know, today. Like some of them actually celebrated my birthday with me last week. So three of them
Yeah.
actually, three of
Hmm.
them I went to their day was, and they did not really it did not really matter to them that I had Asperger's because I eventually opened up to them that I had Asperger's. You know, I made it clear with them, and they didn't seem to mind.
One thing that really strikes me about you is that because you have Asperger's, the thought of, I always found myself wondering how much you were taking in my classes. Because when I was trying to teach you English, and you were very good, your English was flawless. You had no problem with it. But you
It
were
was
very much into movies, and I was trying to get you into Shakespeare. And I kept scratching my head over this because, first of all, I had lost my voice for about a month or 6 weeks. I don't know if you remember that. But I had to teach it through an interpreter. It was 6 weeks, no writing. And so here I was signing Shakespeare to you. And I thought, oh gosh, what a mess. It was a mess because you know how Shakespearean language can be very difficult. And I
it,
didn't know, I just really didn't get a sense of what you were picking up. But lo and behold, I think it was last summer, you texted me on Facebook Messenger. And we had this amazing discussion about Shakespeare. And you kept bringing up all the things that I had taught you. And I had even forgotten I'd talked to you, but you remembered all this. And so that just sort of made something go off in my head about what it really means to be a very high functioning Asperger. Really taking in a lot more than what you would necessarily relay back. You know what I'm saying?
yes,
Because here it was almost 11 years later, and I'm thinking, we're having the discussion about Shakespeare and talking about things he learned in my class. And I know at that time I thought, oh, like I made a mess of it. But at that time, you were not really able to sort of display that understanding. But you had it. It was in your head. It was all there. Do you find
I
that happens sometimes?
well, you know, I have not told very many people this, but at a young age, my psychiatrist said that one of my problems was that you know my I sort of act younger than my age sometimes. It could be my brain functioning or whatever. That was from a very early age. And I remember back in grade 10, I think it was, when I had trouble functioning and paying attention. And, there were days when I would not even bring my, notebook to class or my backpack to class. And that was a huge problem. So, you
Yeah.
know,
But you were retaining all of that knowledge. Obviously, you were. Because when you brought up the Shakespeare references in our conversation, it just blew me away as to how much of it you retained. And not only just retained it, you also applied it. Because you write these fabulous movie reviews, and your development of understanding how movies work, how characters work, the level of metaphor, symbolism, all that stuff is becoming more and more sophisticated over time. Like your movie reviews are far cry from what you produced in grade 9, but that's pretty obvious. But you've honed that craft. You have been able to develop very sophisticated analysis of movies. And you're also able, that in that conversation about Shakespeare and some of the ideas in Shakespeare, you applied it to the movie review. You know, your intellectual abilities are very, very strong.
Thank you.
It's just really, really surprising because I think that's what causes people to have prejudice against you because they don't see that right away. I didn't until a few years ago, and I remember holding my phone and I showed my husband. I said, "You know, this guy, it's amazing what he was able to do, you know, and that he retained all that information. Like we're both teachers, so we have a pretty good understanding of these things. But you really surprised me, Major. You really did.
One of the things you taught me was that, for find inspiration that like speaks to you. And I remember, writing, when I was writing, a number of screenplays
Yeah.
2, 3 years ago. And my biggest problem was that like I tried to cater to what the audience wanted, you know, what other people wanted to see,
Hmm.
and it was you who made me realize that I should write, something that speaks to me, that something that I dealt with, or something that inspired me, or something that I was passionate about. Whereas opposed to like uh, writing a movie script that others wanted to see, like do what's spoke to you.
Yeah. And you know, it's so interesting because the term atypical is really starting to take off in the film industry. For example, have you ever watched any of those Sherlock episodes now with Johnny Lee Jones?
Uh,
You should be watching Sherlock because he is Asperger's, definitely. He's got a real problem with the way he can connect with the world and connect with people, but he's just brilliant in figuring out crime and criminals and who did what. But it's interesting because he's now romantically involved with someone else who has Asperger's. These are very important topics. And you know, the other thing is there's also that Netflix series called Atypical. I don't know if you
I don't think I've heard of
watch.
it, but I should look it up. Uh,
Yeah, I think you should take a look because I think the writing skill that you have, you've honed it over the years. You've worked so hard at it. You've developed it. You've been so passionately engaged with movies and analyzing character and plot and language and the levels of imagery and theme. I know you really were able to develop those skills over time.
Thank you. Yes, it took time, but I think as I grew older, because I think when I was going to school in Regina, like I was 15, 16 years old, and I probably had the mind and then the brain and then functioning of a 10-year-old back then, I think maybe. But as I grew older and more mature, I sort of so my brain sort of matured as well. So
Yeah. And you know that I think in many, many ways that's something that the students from our class need to understand. Because when when they talk to someone who has Asperger's, there's all kinds of judgment that get leveled at them because of what we think is normal. What I'm trying to show through the discussion that we're having is that you were very normal. You have the full intellectual functioning. It's all there, and it always was there, always. It's just being able to see it, being able to understand that just because you can't express it in the same way as the so-called normal population doesn't mean that you're of any less value.
Thank you
And
so.
so if you if you were going to give any advice to a teacher who is just starting out for the first time, what would you want those teachers to know about teaching someone with Asperger's?
Maybe that it takes patience, and like you you're probably not going to connect with them right away, but so long as you show patience and understanding of them, and trying to understand where they're coming from, and trying to make a connection with them by by seeing where they're coming from. I think that's the first step, really. You know, to like see yourself in other person's shoes, and know that it takes time, but eventually, you know, eventually that person is going to show his full potential, his or her full potential, one day.
Obviously, being in that Nanaimo program, you got a lot of that, probably more so in the Vijana program,
Yes,
right?
yes, yes, definitely. But I should also note that when I went to university, I took a life skills program for 2 years, and that was called ELST, and that program was for people who had learning disabilities or other disabilities as well. And what that program did was it kind of taught people who had learning disabilities or other disabilities to like go out into the world and make a living for themselves, to find a job, to find a house, and to find a life after university, to like be more independent. So yeah, I took that for 2 years.
So, do you think it would have been helpful if you had gotten that program in high school?
Yes, yes, I think so.
Ah, so that's very different than what you were saying, for example, in China, where they wouldn't even let you out of the room,
Um,
you
yeah,
know, and keep you there because they wanted to keep you safe, right? But that didn't really help, did it?
no, no. Whereas, like, if you know, in the ELST program on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, on Tuesdays and Thursdays, I mean, sorry, I would go out to work to volunteer, whether it was Superstore, that VM restaurant, at a video store, and a retirement home. They would just, the teachers, they would just drop me off there, or my dad would drop me off there, and I would do like and I would work, uh, do volunteer work around the kitchen, or or in in the bakery at Superstore, or my favorite part, obviously, was at the video store. Helping put all the videos back. So that was obviously my favorite. So
Yeah.
ELST, that program, it was kind of an independent, you know, it was a program that to teach people with learning disabilities how to be independent. So I think that was most useful program for me.
Yeah. And I think that in some ways, if you were able to get those kinds of skills developed earlier on, that would be really helpful instead of just kind of floundering through your high school years and wondering
Yeah,
what you do then.
yeah.
Okay. So this is really helpful, Major. I think this is a really important conversation that these students need to hear. And then that they probably may have some ideas now as to how to deal with someone who has Asperger's, especially uh, such a high functioning Asperger's like you. Your
And I
English was flawless.
Thank you.
Your understanding of character, your understanding of English literature was amazing. It was
Thank you.
very, very advanced.
Thank you. And it was a tough for me the first two
Yeah.
years of high school, and I
Oh,
could not really like function properly at all. But eventually, it gets better. Like, hopefully the students realize that.
yeah,
I think, but it will get better as you go on. Things will get better.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, I knew you were struggling with certain aspects of the English course. You definitely were. But I think that your interest in the movies really saved you because I think that that's where you understood how to analyze behavior. And you probably would not be able to develop the ability to be so relational if you didn't have that interest in the movie. Because you're always looking at characters and how people were talking and behaving and figuring out things about with the world, about life through those movies. In many ways, that really gave you the insight into human behaviors and relationships that you have now.
Uh, yes, I think so as well. But it just took me a few years to fully
Oh,
recognize, and to start making comparisons in order from English class or to a movie I saw, or I think the first time it started occurring was back when was in 2009 was when I watched this movie called 2012, and that movie, uh, it was about the world, coming to an end. And I remember, you know, uh, taking something from your class, which was the survival of the fittest, which was Darwin's, theory
yeah,
of the survival of the fittest and how, everyone wanted to
yeah,
survive. And then when I was watching that movie, I saw back to that, and then that was the first time I can remember making a comparison to something that I learned from high school.
yeah. Wow. Okay. So this has been a wonderful conversation. I hope to have many more. And I really hope that you not stop writing. You owe me a screenplay, Major. You owe me something here.
I will think of something too. I will write a biopic about my experience at Tom one day, and hopefully
Ah,
you know,
wonderful. Wonderful.